Kitchen. And Kristin's Kitchen is a show where I show you how to add more plants into your routine. And today's episode of Kristin's Kitchen is brought to you by Noodle-Free Pad Thai. So today we are going to make a noodle-free pad thai recipe. And this recipe is created by the Minimalist Baker. And I love this recipe for a couple of reasons. This recipe is really just a celebration of vegetables. And it's also just a great recipe to have on hand right now going into the holiday season. You know, we might have days or weeks where we feel like we've just been eating a lot of garbage food. Maybe we've been going out to eat too much. So this can be a really great recipe to just kind of help you reset and get back into feeling healthy. So this recipe will take about a half hour, and let's just get into it. So this recipe, there will be a link to the recipe in the comment section of this video, and it is called Noodle-Free Pad Thai 30 Minutes by Minimalist Baker. So the first thing that we're going to do with this recipe is we're going to get our tofu marinating. So the recipe calls for half a cup of tofu, and I've got my tofu right here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to get the tofu crumbled up. So I'm just going to smash it up with a fork to get it crumbled. And then we're going to marinate it with some coconut aminos and some sriracha. What we are doing in this recipe to replace noodles is we're going to prepare some ribbons of carrots and collard greens. So it's going to be delicious. So we do tofu, and then we're going to add in some coconut aminos. It calls for a tablespoon of that. As you start cooking along with me more, you'll learn that I eyeball a lot of stuff. And then now a teaspoon of chili garlic sauce. So I am using sriracha, and then a quarter teaspoon of turmeric. So I'm just going to do a tiny shake of turmeric, and that's just going to give it some yummy color. So we're just going to let this marinate up and let it sit while we get the rest of our meal prepared. What you don't see in the background of these cooking shows is what is actually happening in somebody's house. I have 2 cats, and right now they are running amok, so if the camera tips over, I will be right over to put it back up. Okay, so our tofu is ready. We're just gonna set it aside while we make the rest of this. If you look at the recipe, step 2 is to make the sauce that's gonna go on it, but I'm just gonna wait a little bit for that. I'm gonna get the vegetables chopped up. If you read the recipe, you'll notice that there's a couple different sections where your vegetables are just gonna be cooking and you have some downtime. So I'm gonna use that time to get the sauce prepared. So one thing with this recipe is we're going to be cooking peppers, onion, cabbage, and bell pepper in a skillet for 3 minutes. Then we'll add in the tofu, and then we're gonna add in carrots and collard greens. So I'm gonna skip ahead to the section where we prepare our carrots and collard greens. I think that's the part of this recipe that's gonna take the most time. So I just wanna get that out of the way. So I have my collard greens here. It calls for 6 leaves of collards. So what I do with the greens is I hold on to the stem, and then I just pull up, and now you've got the entire green off the stem. So we're going to do that with all of them. And if some of the stem sticks on when you do that, just pull it off. And then we're going to roll these up, kind of like a cigar, maybe, and then chop them up, and then we'll have some nice ribbons. And it'll just be good to get these steps out of the way. When you join my cooking shows, one thing I'm going to do is really help you learn how to become more efficient in the kitchen. So I might approach a recipe a little bit different than the person who created the recipe instructs you to. When people start adding more plants to their routine, one thing I often hear is it takes so long, and maybe they're intimidated by recipes. They don't know how to chop all those vegetables. So one of my goals is to just help you become more efficient and more confident in the kitchen. So cooking more with veggies it's fun, and it's not intimidating after a while. All right, so I just rolled up all of my greens in a little bundle here, kind of like a cigar, and I'm just gonna chop them in little ribbons. So, and when I say ribbons, they're gonna be like that. All right. And I see some people are hopping on. I had advertised this show in a bazillion places, and it's my first time going live on YouTube, and I was trying to use a service to schedule a stream, and I don't know.
It's displaying sideways right now.
Okay.
I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, so I guess it's displaying sideways for people. I'll figure that out for next time. All right, so here are all of the ribbons. I'm just going to put those in a bowl. And then the next step is we are going to get the carrots prepared. Here's my peeler. Adam, with it being vertical, does it mean that I'm sideways?
Yeah, so if you're looking at it,
So do I need to turn the camera? Yeah, I can turn the camera.
Let's just try it and see what happens. But I believe when you initiated the live.
Oh, I probably needed to do something. Yeah. Okay, we'll just do it this way. All right, here we go. All right. So what we're going to do is I'm going to peel the carrots, and then after I peel them, we're just going to ribbon them. Just continue to peel the whole thing into your bowl with the collards. All right, so carrot number 1 is peeled. And so now what we're going to do is we're just going to peel it into here. And so I think that this step is really what takes the longest with this kind of a recipe. So that's why I just want to get it out of the way so we can focus on the other things. If you follow this recipe step by step, with this one taking so long, once you got to this step, I don't know, I think you might run into some problems once you got to this step. Like you might not be able to get everything cut up in the 3 to 5 minutes that you're given. All right, so that one is done, and we'll keep on going here. Well, I've still got a little bit to learn about technology, so I brought this over to YouTube so it could be horizontal and not vertical. I'll figure it out for next time. I even tested this twice, right? So I did 2 test runs and had it figured out, but that's technology, analog girl in a digital world. We'll figure it out. So this calls for 4 to 5 of these. And I love it. This is just gonna be so many bright, beautiful colors in this dish. And let's talk about substitutions that you can use in this. So maybe this is something that sounds really appealing to you, but not to the rest of your family. And your family's like, no way, I'm not gonna eat pad thai without noodles. Well, you can make noodles for them. So you could just make noodles on the side, and you can eat this, and then the rest of your family can put it on noodles. Maybe you would just whip up a little bit of extra sauce for them, or maybe not. Let's see, we're using tofu in this. Maybe you have people in your family that don't like tofu. So with the way this tofu is prepared, they might not notice that it's tofu. So pad thai traditionally has eggs in it. So they might think it's eggs, especially with adding turmeric to it and with the texture it is. They might not know. So I think it's fun to make recipes sometimes where people don't know that you've actually cooked vegan. I did that recently. I went to a potluck and I brought chili, And I don't typically use fake meat, but I did for this crowd because I knew it was a meat-heavy crowd. And I just didn't tell anybody. And we got a ton of compliments on the chili. So anyways, okay, so you could leave the tofu in there and maybe nobody would know. Or if they want chicken, you could do chicken too. So you could have your chicken marinating in the same sauce that you used for the tofu. All right, I think that's enough carrots for me. If you wanted to do another one, you could. But I am cooking for 2, so I think that's enough for us. So I'm gonna set that there. And then now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to go back up to step 3, and I'm going to chop up my pepper, onions, cabbage, and bell pepper. Okay, so I've got a bowl here for those. So for the cabbage, it says 1.5 cups, so I've just got a little bit of cabbage here, and I'm just gonna cut this into thin strips as well. And one great thing about cabbage is it lasts a long time. So you can buy cabbage, just keep it wrapped up in your fridge, and then if you notice that maybe there's like a spot on it that doesn't look so appetizing, just cut it off. Just cut off the parts that don't look good, and then once you get to the middle, it's probably gonna look pretty good. All right, so that is sliced cabbage. So that's all I did, and it's about like that. Okay, now we're going to do a bell pepper. We're gonna thinly slice this. So I'm just gonna cut mine in half. And I've got a garbage down here, so I'm gonna get rid of the seeds. And one thing with a recipe like this, where it's like veggie heavy and you're gonna like be chopping up all these veggies, highly recommend a good knife. A good knife is going to save you a lot of time in the kitchen. A good knife that has some weight to it. All right, so I'm just gonna thinly slice these. So that's about the size that I'm slicing them. Look at all these colors. We've got purple, red, orange, green. I love it. All right, so that half is sliced. And now we'll do the other half. Last week, I was at the American College of Lifestyle Medicine conference. I got to hear some amazing speakers. I got to hear Dan Buettner, personal hero of mine, talk about longevity. My company actually had a booth there. I ran it, and my booth was right next to Dr. Will Bolzovitz, one of my personal heroes. And so I just got to hear a lot of great conversations, a lot of great science from people who actually do the studies themselves about the benefits of incorporating more plants into your routine for longevity and health. So now I'm going to do the green onions. It calls for a whole bundle. So I just cut off the very white ends, and I'm just going to chop them up. All right. And the main message that often comes out of that conference is eat real food, not too much, mostly plants. And that is the recipe for good health. Okay, so we've got all those veggies chopped. So let's see. So once my skillet is hot, I'm going to add the veggies. I'm just trying to see where it says to add the ginger in this recipe. Okay, so I'm going to add in my sesame oil and then get these veggies added. So I'm just going to do a tablespoon of sesame oil. And now I'm going to add the veggies. And we're gonna let those saute. And here we got the red onion and the cabbage. All right, so while those are sauteing, it also says to add a tablespoon of coconut aminos. So do a tablespoon. Coconut aminos is a soy-free version of soy sauce. It's coconut based, so it's delicious. It's a little bit sweet. It's awesome to add to like Buddha bowls. Sometimes I add it to salads. All right, so let's go ahead now and make our sauce. Okay, so the sauce, I got my bowl here. So the sauce calls for 2.5 tablespoons of nut butter. You could use almond butter, peanut butter, sunflower butter, whatever your kind of butter is that you like. So I'm using peanut butter. I got Richard's Creamy Peanut Butter. I like to get peanut butter where the only ingredients is peanuts. Sometimes I make my own peanut butter. I don't know if anybody else does that. It's super fun. Okay, so that's enough of that. Just kind of wanted to use up the rest of that. 3 tablespoons of lime juice. So here are my limes. Cut them in half. I've done a number of cooking shows, and in some of the cooking shows when I use lime juice, people have asked, how do you find limes that aren't dried out? It's really frustrating when you get a lime or a lemon and it's all dried out. So one thing that I do when I look for a lime is try to find a lime that has a thin peel. Typically, if there's a thinner peel, it's going to have more juice in it. And make sure it's a little bit soft. So those are the things that I look for in a lime. So we need 3 tablespoons of lime juice. I'm just going to use 2 limes because I think I added a little bit more than 2.5 tablespoons of peanut butter. But I know who my audience is with who I'm cooking for tonight. My audience is my husband. My husband, Adam, he's always going to double the sauce. So, especially if it's a peanut sauce. He loves peanut sauce. So, all right. So I always make extra for him. So we're going to do that. Put some coconut aminos in there. And then you have an option. And if you don't have coconut aminos, you could use soy sauce, tamari, whatever you've got. And then you can do red pepper flakes or chili garlic sauce. I'm a huge fan of sriracha. Like, I'm one of those people who's like, I put sriracha on my sriracha. So I'm going to use sriracha. And then maple syrup. And if you don't have maple syrup, you could do coconut sugar. That would work as well. So mix this up. And when you mix it up, just make sure you've got a big enough bowl to sustain any splash that's going to happen when you're trying to mix up peanut sauce. Just going to give my veggies a stir here. Those are looking pretty good. They're supposed to cook for about 3 minutes, and then we add in the other veggies. Let's see. So cabbage, bell pepper. There's also an option to add in a serrano pepper, which I forgot with that. So I'm gonna chop that up now because I like heat and I want a serrano pepper in mine. You could seed your serrano pepper. I'm not going to, but if you seed it, just cut it in half the long way and then take a spoon to the middle of it to remove the seeds. And that will reduce the heat in your serrano pepper if you remove the seeds. Yeah, I'm just gonna do it like that. All right, so now I'm gonna add the other veggies. And these are gonna cook for about 5 minutes. And the tofu, we'll get the tofu added. So this is just gonna cook for about 5 minutes and then it's done. So pretty simple recipe. So we're just gonna let the greens wilt some here, let that tofu get a little cooked, hopefully like a little bit crispy. And I'm gonna finish stirring up my sauce. Let's see. So I'm trying to figure out when I add this freshly grated ginger. It's like in the back of my head. Okay, so after the carrots and collard greens have cooked for a little bit, then we add the ginger. And we're supposed to add another tablespoon of coconut aminos with the collard greens and carrots. So another tablespoon. See how easy this is? So now we're just pretty much just letting these greens and carrots cook down some, and then it'll be done. And we're gonna have this beautiful, colorful celebration of vegetables. You are gonna wanna make sure that you've got a big skillet for this recipe because it is a lot of veggies. So if you wanted to up the protein in this, you could add more tofu. You could cut up some tofu and put it in the air fryer while you're doing this. You could do some like Asian tofu nuggets. You could also, like if you do meat, you could make some chicken or some shrimp. You could add some quinoa to this. You can add crushed peanuts to it. You could put some hemp seeds on it. So those are some really simple, easy ways to up the protein content of your pad thai. But it is looking beautiful right now. So I am going to want to add some ginger to it. And this recipe says add the pad thai sauce and the ginger. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add my ginger to the pad thai sauce right now while that is continuing to cook. So I've got ginger root. I'm just going to cut off an end. Just going to peel it a little bit here. I'm just going to peel it with my knife. So ginger is something that I typically keep in my freezer. Once you know, like, this ginger might be kind of going south, I'll throw it in my freezer, and it stays good in your freezer. And then I use a microblade, and then I just take the frozen ginger root out of my freezer to add to recipes. So I'm just going to put the microblade over my sauce and grate some ginger into there. It also says to add some freshly ground turmeric. It's optional. I do not have fresh turmeric, so I'll be skipping that step. So you could do, if you wanted noodles, pad thai noodles or soba noodles would be great with this too. I am likely adding more ginger than the recipe calls for. I love ginger. But it's your sauce. It's your sauce. So what you should do with the sauce is taste it. And do you want it to be more spicy? If you want it more spicy, add in some more sriracha or crushed red pepper. If you wanted it to be more salty, add in a little bit more coconut amino. If you wanted it more sweet, add in some more maple syrup. All right, so this is good. The greens have wilted. It's beautiful. I'm gonna add, so I'll let you see what it looks like now, and then I'm gonna add the sauce. So that's what it looks like now. It's beautiful. All right, so now we'll add the sauce. Stir it up, and dinner is done. Dinner is done. Look at that. It wasn't even a whole half hour because I've had some technical issues. My first time doing a YouTube live. I'll get better at it, guys. Give me another chance. Come on. You won't regret it. I even color coordinated my shirt to go with the meal today. See, purple shirt and greens, and we've got purple cabbage and greens. All right, it's done. So here is the finished dish. Noodle-less Pad Thai. It's beautiful. So divide this up between plates, and then you can sprinkle it with some crushed peanuts if you want. It would be great to put some cilantro on there. You could put some hemp seeds on there. Let me make sure I'm not forgetting anything. That's it. I hope you enjoy this recipe. I will be doing a full meal prep show in about 2 weeks. Not this Sunday, but the Sunday after. So it is like November 15th, something like that. I'll be doing a full meal prep show. So watch this space to learn more about that. Please, if you enjoyed this, please like this video, subscribe to my channel. It just helps YouTube get this in front of more people. If you want to get notified of future cooking shows, I'll have a link in the comments with a link to my mailing list, so you can get recordings and know when I'm going to do future shows. So anyways, eat lots of veggies. Eat lots of veggies. Have a good night.